Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Can you see? Please kindly confirm if there is no echo, because I'm not sure what's wrong with my audio this morning. I'm trying to sort out the preferences here. So please kindly confirm if there is no echo so that we can begin. Okay, thank you, Streamroller, for that confirmation. I'm grateful. Um, so I think we are all good right now. My voice is clear, audible, and my screen can be seen. And so let's begin with the session. I welcome you all to yet another beautiful and a promising session of Extra Speed Life, hosted by my humble self, Sheriff Daramola. And I shall be taking you on a trading journey where we shall be evaluating the financial market using price action, and we shall be identifying patterns, market structures, and trend continuation patterns. And we shall be using these parameters to identify trading opportunities lining up for us during the New York session. And before we do that, we're also going to be looking at what we did yesterday. We want to see how well we've been doing so far since the beginning of the week. We are going to be looking at all the pairs we deliberated on yesterday. We want to see how well these pairs are doing. We want to see how well these pairs are doing, and if there are any advices or any updates whatsoever, I shall be sharing during the session. And also, if you have any pairs you want us to look at, you have a commodity you want us to look at, whatever pair you want us to look at, feel free to drop it in the comment section, and I will try as much as possible to squeeze it into our schedule for today. So I implore everyone to stay tuned until the end of the session so that you don't miss out on any ideas or any new developments I might be sharing during the course of the session. So, with no further ado, let's dive into the charts and let's see what is happening. So, the first pair we are going to be looking at this morning is the US oil as usual, and let's see what is happening in the market as price has broken down the structure to the downside. And one thing we were expecting yesterday didn't actually suffice, but one of the scenarios we depicted yesterday happened. And what we saw yesterday was this. I told you we were around this area during the course of yesterday's live session. We were around this point. Was it? We were around this point, right? Yes, we were around this point yesterday's session. And I was telling you that you could take advantage of any bullish potential from that area. And price moved almost how many pips that is? I think around 300 pips before we saw the move to the downside. Well, if you are a very cautious trader, you might have probably moved your stop loss to break even as soon as price broke above that key level at $95 mark, and notice that price came back to our entry point and will have taken you out. So, or if you probably must have either locked at stopped out at break even, or probably you might have locked in some profits before price went to the downside. Now, if you remember vividly what I explained yesterday, I told you how that demand zone around this area has been very significant in the last 72 hours. This area has been very significant in the last 72 hours. And I told you that if we do at any point during the New York session witness a breakdown of that structure, I want to be patient to see how price action is going to relate with this potential demand zone that was identified sometime last week. Remember, I told you about this demand zone here, and I said I will not be taking any sell even if price breaks that demand zone. But I made mention that those who are actually scalpers or short-term traders could actually take advantage of that move, and that is if you see a breakdown of that demand zone, a retest of that structure on lower time frame, you could join the decline to the downside, and then we'll wait to see how price action is going to relate with this level to determine if we are still going to go to the downside or we're going to be witnessing a reversal pattern from that level at this point. So now we have the scenario where price has finally broken down that demand zone, and how do we intend to take advantage of a trading opportunity during the New York session today. So this is what we are going to be looking at critically. So let's clean our chart. Let's have a clean chart right now. Hold on a second, let me delete this as this is no longer relevant. The demand zone here I think is still very relevant. So let's still keep our structure here. So what we have in here at this point is more or less a consolidation phase right around the demand zone. So we have a consolidation phase around here since price broke down that previous demand zone at 92 $93 level. We have seen price come to this level to respect this level at the potential demand zone between the 90 and the $91 area. And what we have noticed in the last 12 to 15 hours is that price has been in a consolidation phase around that area. And if we look left, we understand that this area is more or less a very strong demand zone in the past, as we can see that price at one point in time respected that level to push price to the upside. So now with the scenario we have here, one thing I will be saying at this point is that I want us to be very patient as we want to see how price action is going to relate with this level here to now decide if we are going to be buying or we are going to be selling. However, if we look closely into the structure, let me zoom in. If we look into the structure, that is what has been happening in the last what has been happening in the last 18 hours, we can see that price has continued to reject this level at the $90 area, giving us a clue into a possible reversal pattern unfolding at this point. And we all understand that if a reversal pattern is unfolding, we expect a breakout of structure to give us further confirmation that that reversal pattern is going to be valid. So now if we look at the structure after this impulsive move to the downside here, we saw how price came back into the $91.50 area. We saw a rejection of this level at the $90 area one more time, and price appears to be moving to the upside from here. So is this going to turn out to be a double bottom structure? Well, we don't know yet. But one thing we want to be doing at this point is to identify our neckline and be using that as our yardstick as we go into the New York session today. So what I'll be doing at this point is to bring out my line chart so that we can identify a neckline for a reversal pattern. We all understand that we expect, if we see a double bottom structure, we should be able to identify the neckline, as the neckline is going to be an area we're going to be looking out for a breakout of structure, and a retest of that level should give us further confirmation that we are going bullish. So now we have a neckline sitting at around the $91.50 level. So I think it's right that we just label that level so that we don't get things mixed up. So we have the $91.50 level as our yardstick going into the New York session. So one thing we want to be doing around this area, if we are going to be buying the UsOil, we want to be seeing price right above the $91.50 level to take advantage of any bullish potential on the US oil. Now with the scenario we have here, we have an engulfing candle here. I think the last hour we witnessed a bullish engulfing candle, and the present candle at this point in time is still about how many minutes old? It's about 15 minutes old at this point, and we still have around 45 minutes to catch on this one to see how this candle is going to close. So now that we have a reversal pattern here, that because we already have a breakout of structure confirming that this is a reversal pattern, we still expect to see that this candle closes above that neckline. Now what we want to be looking out for is this: if price breaks out of that neckline, we want to be waiting for a confirmation. Remember, we are not getting too excited at the sight of a signal. We want to calm down and wait for price action to give us the confirmation that it is actually going bullish. So one thing we want to be doing here is this: if price closes above this level, then we wait and scale down to our lower time frame, where we want to be looking out for a retest of this $91.50 area. It could go as far as the $91 area. It depends, but what we are looking for is price to come back into the structure. It could be right above the $91.50. It's not every time price the market works that way, where it retests at the exact point. But one thing we want to be looking out for is a form of a retracement into close to the structure or within the structure or right at the point of the neckline. Then we look out for a reversal pattern on lower time frame in the form of probably whatever it is, a double bottom structure or inverse head and shoulder pattern, or a sharp rejection of that level, where we want to be taking advantage of a bullish momentum to the upside. So if we are going to be taking a bullish momentum to the upside from this level, where will our take profit target be? Well, if we look at the structure we have here since the beginning of the week, remember we have a key level at the $95 mark, which has been serving us since the beginning of the week. And now that we have that level there, I think it is most appropriate that we should be aiming at around this zone at this point in time for our take profit target if any buying momentum happens here during the New York session. So, and if we look at the structure around the key level at the $95 mark, we can see that we have, hold on a second, we have this bullish trend line that was broken. We have this bullish trend line that was broken around this area. We saw a breakdown. Hold on a second, let me show you what I'm talking about. We saw a breakdown retest of that bullish trend line here to the downside, and then there is a likelihood that price could come back to do a retest of that bullish trend line, where we might be looking forward to probably price will go to the downside from here, or we might be having price break out of that bearish trend line we saw on the higher time frame to move right to the upside from that point. But at this point in time, we'll wait to see how price action is going to relate with this level. So one thing we are going to be doing, we are going to be aiming our take profit target at around that area in the meantime, and let's see how price action will play from there. So if our take profit target is going to be around this area, at least we should be aiming at around a 350 to 400 pips move to catch here if price moves in our direction. Now there is a caveat to this bullish potential we have here on the US oil, and that is the level here that was broken during the course of yesterday's trading session. Remember, we saw this demand zone broken. Hold on a second. We saw this demand zone broken during the course of yesterday's trading session. And one thing I want to be saying here is that as soon as price gets into that level around this area, I want to be advising us to move our stop loss to break even so that we don't get caught up in an unnecessary or a sudden breakdown or price a sudden reversal at this point. So it's better we lock in some profit or we move our stop loss to break even so that we can protect our portfolio, our position at this point. So that is this that's the a caveat I want us to hold on to during the New York session when this happened. So that is that on the for the bullish potential here. So let's look at other possibilities that could actually happen during the New York session. Now that we are around that area here at the demand zone, how are we going to see a breakdown of that structure? We are yet to see one, but if we see a breakdown of that structure, that is price breaks down that demand zone actually as in outrightly, and we see price move further to the downside, then we want to wait for a confirmation that we're actually going bearish. Remember, we don't get excited at the sight of a signal. We wait for price action to give us that confirmation, and the confirmation should come in the form of a retest of structure. So if price comes back into that potential demand zone, or probably into this $91.50 level, then we want to be looking out for reversal patterns on lower time frame to join the decline to the downside. So this is what we are going to be looking out for on the US oil. So we have two scenarios we are going to be looking out for. The first scenario is we identify something that looks like a reversal pattern around here, and we identify the neckline at $91.50 level. So we're looking forward to an insignificant breakout of that structure. We can see that candle has come back into the level, so the candle is here to close. So we can't see that as a confirmation yet, so we want to wait for this candle to close right above that structure. Then we look out for a retest of that level on the lower time frame to join the rally to the upside. And then if we have an outright breakdown of this demand zone during the course of the New York session, then we want to wait for price action to come back and do a retest of structure before we join the decline to the downside. So these are the scenarios we're going to be looking out for on the US oil. If you have any questions, you seek further clarifications, feel free to drop a word or two in the comments section. I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to read through the chats and see if there are any inquiries in this regard. Good morning, 359. Smile Sam is saying the sound. The sound, okay. Is the sound not still okay? Please kindly confirm that you can all hear me clearly. Somebody is saying here that can't hear me. Okay. Streamroller wants us to do forex. Okay, we'll be doing forex general. We'll be doing forex. Um, as soon as we take the UK oil, we go into forex pairs, and just 10 wants us to do USDCHF. Okay, we'll look at that. USDCHF 685 US Tech. Okay, 685 from from India. All right, Namaste. 612 from Vietnam. Hello. Okay. Okay, Smile Sam confirms that the sound is good. Okay, thank you very much. Ashitaka, thank you also for the confirmation. What's low? Okay. All right. I'll be looking into those pairs you have mentioned. So I've already penned them down, and I think it's time to move on to the next pair. So the next pair we'll be talking about is the the UK oil, and we also have a similar scenario with what we have here. And we had that breakout of structure yesterday, and around this point, and price moved about how many pips? 250 pips before we saw that move to the downside from here. So now we have a scenario here now. Hold on a second. Let's delete this. Let's delete this. I want to extend this one out because there's a structure we want to be looking out for this week. Okay. So we have this impulsive move that took price to the downside from the $102 level, and we saw our price has been caught within a consolidation phase around here since that breakdown of structure. giving us a clue into the indecision on the market at this point, and participants are actually waiting for a catalyst to push price either way. So one thing we want to be doing here is to identify that structure, and the only way we can do that is to bring out our line chart so that we can be of specific points, and then we have our resistance level there, and we should be having our support level around here. So now that we have a channel that we want to be using as our guide going into the new week, into the New York session, sorry, one thing I want to be looking out for is a breakout of that structure as a signal. So if we have a breakout of that structure, sorry, if we have a break above of that structure, that is, we see a breakout of that structure here, then we wait for price to give us a confirmation in the form of a retest of that area, after which we look out for patterns on lower time frame to support to join a rally to the upside from that point. And if we do have a breakdown of this channel, then a retest of that structure should give us confirmation to join the decline. So this is what we are going to be looking out for right now. We're going to be waiting for price action. We want to see how price will react to this level. Want to see how price is going to react within this channel. Are we going to be having a breakout of that level? Or are we going to be having a breakdown of that structure? And remember, if we do have a signal, we don't get too excited, as we want to wait for confirmation, and the confirmation will come in the form of a retest of structure. So if we see a significant breakdown, probably an engulfing bearish candle that pushes price right out of that structure, then we wait to see price come back to do a retest of that level, and this could be on a lower time frame. Your 5, your 10 minutes time frame could do on this one. So let's see how price will relate with that level, and then we can join the decline from that point. And then if we have a breakout of that structure, then a retest of that level should give us further confirmation to join the rally to the upside. So if we are joining the rally to the upside, what I want to be doing here is that we should have our take profit target not more than this area. Hold on a second. I think the 102, $101 area seems most appropriate for our take profit target, and the reason why that is because of this level. We can see that every time price comes into this area, we see a downward move, we see a bearish move from that area, giving us a clue into the strength of the sellers at this point in market. So let's see how price action will relate with that level before we think of adding more position to our bullish potential if that happens. And now, one thing I want to be saying here is this: if we enter any buy opportunity at this point, we want to be mindful of this level. The first level we want to be mindful of is the $98.50 level. That is this area here. It's a very significant level. As soon as price gets into that level, we want to lock in our profit or move our stop loss to break even at that point. And then if price breaks out of that level and price gets into the $100 mark here, we want to lock in our profit and move our stop loss probably to somewhere around this area once it gets to this level. So this is just a way of protecting our position, making sure that we don't get caught up in an unnecessary reversal of price action. So that's the first one. And the second one, for the bearish momentum here, as soon as price test this $95 level, I want you to lock your profit, move your stop loss to break even so that you don't miss out. You don't get caught up in a sudden reversal of price action at that point. So I think I am very clear on this one. So let's see how price action plays out during the New York session. So I will be advising us to be on standby in that regard. So if you have any question whatsoever regarding what I've explained so far, kindly feel free to drop a word or two in the comment section, and I will be willing to be of help. So let's see next 10-15 seconds what inquiries we have, and then we can move on to the next pair. want me to do Tesla? Streamula is asking for Tesla. Let's see if that is going to be possible today. I think we have quite a lot of commodities we want to be looking at, but I will look at that. Let's see how what happens. 492. Hi, good morning. Volky. Okay. Nikki. We you. Okay. Hello. Hi. All right. So let's move on to the next pair here, and the next pair we will be deliberating on is the GBPUSD. And on the GBPUSD, what do we have on the GBPUSD? Um, Remember, we've been expecting a bullish potential here on the GBPUSD. And hold on a second, let's during the course of during the early days, the early hours of this week, we were able to identify a key level at the 1.29 level area during the early hours of the week, and we were using that as a yardstick for any bullish potential, as we were expecting price to move right into the bearish trend line we identified on the daily time frame. This bearish trend line here we identify on the daily time frame. Let me take you back to the daily time frame so that you can see what I'm talking about. So we have this bearish trend line on the daily time frame, and I was actually expecting price to come back into this bearish trend line, probably with the intention of rejecting it to the downside, or we could probably have a breakout of that structure to push price to the upside. So those are the two scenarios I was looking out for during the early days of the week, and I was keen. I was more leaning to a bullish potential on the GBPUSD, but the way things are going right now doesn't seem like that. And we had the first opportunity here. We took the advantage here. We were stopped out. And then I was telling you at the course of yesterday that we want to be seeing price break out of this 1.219, come back and do a retest of the structure before we join the rally to the upside. But unfortunately, that did not happen. But what did we see? We see a multiple rejection of the 1.219. And remember, this could have been a sign to take the bearish momentum, but I told you that I'm not going to be taking any bearish momentum unless I see a breakdown of that bullish trend line and this bullish trend line here. So I was thinking and waiting, if that breakdown happens, then I want to be looking for a retest of structure. And if the retest come in the form of probably a retest of that bullish trend line or a retest of the 1.219 area, then we want to be looking out for patterns on lower time frame to join the decline to the downside. And the way things are going right now, it appears that the JPUSD appears to be going bearish, as we are right at a level, we are right at the 1.219 level area. So what I'll be advising at this point is that we remain very patient. We want to see how price action is going to relate with this level, as we can see the bullish trend line and the key level at 1.219 have share a common confluence, and let's see how price action relates with that level so that we can join the decline to the downside. Now, if price, let's scale down to a much lower time frame to see how price is relating with that level. So now, looking at what is happening on the 15 minutes time frame, we already have something that looks like a bearish candle, though this candle is still running at this point, is about 10 minutes old. Let's see how this candle is going to close from this level. And one thing I want to be looking out for, it depends on what structure brings anyway. I want to look out for a reversal pattern here. It could be a double top structure that will send price going to the downside, or it could be a head and shoulder pattern, we never can tell, that will send price to the downside, or it could be a rising wedge where we see structures like this, then a breakout of that structure, then price move to the downside. So let's see how price is going to relate with this 1.219 level. And one thing I want to say here is this: if I see a breakout of that structure, despite the fact that I'm looking forward to a reversal pattern here, but if I see a breakout of the structure, that is a significant breakout with an engulfing candle, price closing right above that level, then I want to wait for confirmation in the form of a retest of structure to go back to my bullish bias on this one. So the key level at 1.219 is a very significant level that's going to be guiding our action going forward. So let us stay tuned in and watch how price action is going to relate with the 1.219 level area, and we shall be using the structure that evolves around that area to take a decision. So we have in two scenarios we are looking out for here: a reversal pattern, that is a multiple rejection of the 1.219 to do a selling bias on this one. And if we have a significant breakout of the 1.219, a retest of that structure should give us further confirmation to join the rally. Now, if we are selling, where will our take profit target be? Well, if we look at the structure we have here, remember we have a significant key level at 1.20500 area, which is an area which has held price resisted for some time. We can see that this area has been a selling niche for price action in the past. We saw this point, we saw this point in the month of July, and we saw another selling niche around this area, making that area a very significant level. So one thing I want to be saying is that we should be placing our stop loss, our take profit rather. We should be so So what I'm saying here is that we should be having our take profit target around this area. So let's see how price action will relate with that level. If a selling momentum happens, that is, price comes into this level, let's see how it's going to relate with that level. If we're going to be having a breakdown of that structure, then a retest should give us further confirmation to join the decline. So let's see how price relates with that level. Then another caveat I want to state here is this: if we look left, we can see that we have a structure around here, around the 1.21050 level. So what I want to be doing here is that we should, as soon as price gets into this level, that's if we are selling and price gets into this level, we want to lock in some profit or move our stop loss to break even to protect our position. So if price comes here, we lock in some profit or move our stop loss to break even, so that we don't get caught up in any sudden reversal movement. So that is that on the GBPUSD. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to drop a word or two in the comment section and I will be willing to be of help. Okay, stream roller. Alright, I will try as much as possible to make sure I see something on that. Hey, hi Max, good morning to you. How are you today? Pires, hello. Okay, 492. All right. Okay. So let's see what we have on the next pair. In the next pair we want to be deliberating on is on the gold, and on the gold it appears we're having a similar scenario on the gold. Remember, since the beginning of the week, I've been expecting a bullish momentum here on the gold, and I'm already in profit here on the gold. And let's see what we have here. Hold on a second. Let me hide this one. Remember, we had a key level at $1,770 level during the course of I think yesterday's live session. Yes, we identified that level, and I think it's most appropriate I go to the higher time frame so that we can have a better picture of what I'm trying to explain, especially for those who missed out on our analysis during the beginning of the week. So we had a descending channel running on higher time frame, and we during the early hours of this week we saw how price broke out of that structure of that as descending channel, giving us a clue into a possible trend continuation to the upside. And within in the last 72 hours, we saw how price came back into the descending channel, into the resistance point, below the resistance point of the descending channel, and we saw a rejection of that level. And I told you that we should be entering right below the low here, which price did not get to during the course of yesterday, not until we now saw price climbing back up into the $1,770 level. So as soon as price got back up into the 1,770 level, we were looking forward to a breakout retest of that structure. So if you are taking advantage of that move, kudos to you. So we saw this breakout on lower time frame. Give me a moment, let me show you what I was talking about. So on the 15 minutes time frame, we saw the breakout of the structure, a retest of the structure, giving us further confirmation to join the rally to the upside. So on the XAUUSD, if you are taking advantage of that move, kudos to you. Presently we should be running with about over 1,000 pips on this one right now. So let's see what is going to be happening this during the New York session today, and especially for those who had missed out on this opportunity. So let's see how we could actually take advantage of this. So the first thing I observed here on the 15 minutes time frame is that we have a bullish trend line after connecting the series of higher lows on the lower time frame here. On the 15 minutes time frame here, we have a bullish trend line running already, and so we want to see, we have seen how price has continued to respect that bullish trend line. So I want to see price come back to do a retest of that bullish trend line, price come back into the trend line, and then we see a reversal pattern, then I can join the rally to the upside. So if you're already in this trade, there's another opportunity to add more position to your existing trade. And if you are not in this trade, then I think this is the most appropriate area for us to take advantage of another bullish potential. Now, another scenario could happen here. That is, if we price comes into this level and breaks down this level, what happens? Then we wait to see how price will relate with this level at the $1,770 level, and if we have a reversal pattern from there, we want to join the rally to the upside. So we can see how we have to be very fluid and flexible as our price action is being monitored. So in as much as we are waiting for price to come into this bullish trend line, and we look for rejection of this bullish trend line to join the trend continuation, we should be open-minded enough to consider if we see price break down that bullish trend line. And if price does break down that bullish trend line, then we want to wait to see how price will relate with that key level we identified on the 1 hour time frame, that is the $1,770 level. And if we see a reversal pattern on that level, then we want to take advantage of a trend continuation to the upside. So let's go back to the 1 hour time frame and see what I'm talking about. So this is what we have here on the gold, and at the meantime I have my take profit target at $1,780 mark, which is going to be an area we want to be looking for our take profit target. And the reason why that is, if we look left, we can see that this area, hold on a second, we can see this area has been a selling niche in the past. So I want to see price come into this level, and if price comes in, I want to see how price is going to react with that level. So let me identify that level right now, and let's see what happens at that point. So if we are going to see a breakout of that structure, then I want to be adding more position to my existing trade at a retest of structure to join the trend continuation. So that is the scenario we have here on the XAUUSD. So let's see how price action plays out during the New York session, and I implore us to be on standby to catch that move. And on a long-term perspective, my take profit target is right on that bullish trend line that we identified on the daily time frame. If we go to the daily time frame, we have a bullish trend line that was being respected since the beginning of the year, and I'm expecting price to come back into that bullish trend line. That is, we saw a breakdown of the bullish trend line at the beginning of the month of July, and then I'm expecting price to come back into that bullish trend line where we might be having probably a retest that could send price crashing, or we could be having a breakout of that level to push price to the upside. So these are the things I'm looking at for the XAUUSD. So bullish potential still on hold, and bullish potential still remains valid rather. And let's see how price action plays out during the New York session. So that is that on the gold. If you have any question whatsoever, feel free to drop a comment in the comment section, and let's move on to the next pair. We have 15 minutes left. So the next pair we'll be deliberating on is, should we take the Euro USD, or we should just go to the USDCHF? Because we had the Euro USD yesterday. I'm not sure if you'll be keen to see how price relates with that. Okay, let's do USDCHF since someone in the house is asking for that. So on the USDCHF, I'm expecting a bearish momentum here on the USDCHF anyway. But let me show you what I'm thinking in that regard. What brought that thought? Now, hold on a second. Let me scale up to a daily time frame here. So on the daily time frame, what do we have here? Is it daily? Okay, so let's go to the 4 hours time frame. It's most appropriate. So on the 4 hours time frame, it is obvious that we are in a downtrend scenario. We saw a supply zone here, and this level was tested in the month of May, and we had another test in the month of June, and then we had a test here, which is a lower high. Our price wasn't able to reach the previous high here. We had a reversal pattern, a double top structure around this area, giving us a clue into the strength of the sellers at this point in the market. And we saw our price pushed right through to the 0.9500 level during the later part of last month. And one thing I'm looking out for here is this: I was able to identify a key level. We saw the breakdown of this area in the middle of the month of June, month of July. We saw the breakdown of this level. Price broke down that level, did multiple rejection of that same level. We saw this multiple rejection of that level, and then price came back down. So right now price is back at that area. We have a sharp rejection of that level during the course of yesterday's trading session. We saw our price rejected that level sharply. It's that shooting candle we can see here, and you can see that area also shares, we are around that key level area at 0.96700 area. So one thing I'm looking out for at this point is a reversal pattern to give me further confirmation that we are going bearish. So this is more or less like a retracement move to me. So I want to see a reversal pattern around this area to give me further confirmation to join the decline to the downside. So now that we have a perspective of what our expectation is going to be like, how do we intend taking advantage of this move during the New York session? So let's scale down to a lower time frame, the 1 hour time frame, and let's see how price action has been playing out on the 1 hour time frame. Now, remember I said we are expecting a reversal pattern on the higher time frame, and we already have this move. We have this move to the upside. Price rejected the 0.96500 level. Price came back into the 0.96, and then we saw a consolidation phase as price was unable to break above the 0.965 area to find a new high, and since then we saw this move to the downside. So one thing I want to be doing here is to identify a key level that will guide our action during the New York session, and this is going to make our job easier so that we don't get caught up in any confusion when we are about to make our individual decision. So I want to see this as a reversal pattern, and let's have a neckline right around the 0.96 area. So if we bring out our line chart at this point to give us a specific point of connection, we should be having this area. We should be connecting these areas together. See what I'm talking about here. So we have the 0.96. So let's label it 0.96 level. Okay, I think that's it. So now we have this level. Look at this level has been a resistance point in the past. See it here. It has been a supply niche in the past. You can see it has been a supply niche, though we had a false breakout here. It's a supply niche in the past, and it was at one point in time a demand zone also in the past. So that level is more or less a very significant level. It has been a major determinant of price action in the past, so I want to be using that level as our yardstick going into the New York session. So one thing I want to be looking out for on the US oil is a breakdown of that level. So if we see a breakdown of that level, which appears to have happened, then a retest of the structure should give us confirmation on lower time frame to join the decline to the downside. So what's this simply means is this. What this yardstick simply means is this. It means that we want to be selling the dollar against the CHF anywhere right below the 0.96 level area. So if you want to sell the USDCHF right below the 0.96, seems most appropriate to do so. So now, where will our take profit target be? If we look at the structure we have here since the beginning of since the middle of the month of July, we can see that price has been trending to the lower side. It has been on a long-term bearish momentum as price action has continued to respect that bearish trend line that was able to identify here. We can see consecutive lower highs and lower lows at this point until we saw a final breakout of that structure during the course of this week, and we saw a breakout of that structure as price went into the 0.965 level. And from a technical perspective, whenever we witness a breakout of structure, that is, we saw this breakout of structure here. Whenever we witness a breakout of structure, we expect price to come back and do a retest of that structure. So in this case, we have a breakout of the bearish trend line. So we might be expecting price to come back and do a retest of this bearish trend line before we see a possible move to the upside from here. But till then, we want to be looking at our take profit targets around this area, around this level, and that should be around the 0.95 area, which also shows a confluence with the bearish trend line here, and that will be dovetailing to about how many pips that is. That's around 90 pips thereabouts to catch here. So whatever happens at this point, that is whatever happens at this level here, will now determine how we want to continue continue on this trade. So if we are going to see a reversal pattern right on this area, or probably a sharp rejection of this level, then we want to be looking for a bullish potential from here. However, if we see a breakdown of that level, then that gives us further confirmation that we might be going bearish. And remember, we are not getting too excited at the sight of a signal, as we want to wait for price action to come back and do a retest of that structure, after which we want to join the decline. And if you're already in that trade already, you might just want to add more position to your existing trade at a retest of this level. So this is what we're going to be looking for on the USDCHF. Personally, I'm already in this trade in the USDCHF, and if you are not yet in and you still need further confirmation, you can wait for price action to do a rejection of the 0.96 level to join the decline. So this is my perspective here on the USDCHF. I hope I made myself clear, and if you have any question whatsoever on this one, feel free to drop a word or two, and I will be willing to be of help. Okay, so let's attend to US Tech, or should we do Tesla? All right, right. Okay. Okay, so let's quickly run through US Tech, and let's see if we have time. Then we can treat Tesla. Then we call it a day. So on the US Tech, the US Tech has been on a very strong bullish momentum. Let's scale up to a higher time frame. Let's see what's happening on the higher time frame, and from there we should be gauging our move. So first of all, let me delete all these ones. So we were right in an ascending channel since the middle of the month of June. We've been on an ascending channel. Price has continued to respect that channel since the middle of June. We can see how price has been respecting that channel. But one thing we saw here, as soon as price tested the resistance point here on the 20th of July, we saw a consolidation phase, and what happened after that consolidation phase was a breakout of structure. So let's scale down to a much lower time frame. Let's see what's happening around that area. And remember, we have a key level here at 12,850, which if we shift it to the back, it's more or less a a very very important level that has been a major determinant of price action in the past. Hold on a second. So we can see it's very very obvious. This level has been a demand niche here. It has been a demand niche. That's been a demand niche here as well. Then before it became a selling momentum, now we have a breakout of that structure, giving us a sign that we are going bullish on the US tech. So now that we all understand that is now becoming more bullish for us, how do we intend taking advantage of this bullish momentum on the UK tech? So let's scale down to a much lower time frame, that is the 1 hour time frame, and let's see how price action has been playing out so far. So if we are right on the 1 hour time frame, and on the 1 hour time frame, if we look at the structure we have here, we can see that we have been on a trend, a bullish trend here on the since the middle of the month of July. We saw our price has been respecting higher high and higher low. And one thing I want to be doing here is to connect the series of higher lows so that we can identify a trend line we can work with for the week. And what we have here, I think we have two trend lines here. Hold on a second. We should be having a major one here. Let me make this. Then the other one should be a dotted line. Let me see how we could. Okay, so I'll give this a dotted line. Let me make it a different color so that here we go. So we have this bullish trend line now running, and remember we have a key level at 12,800. Is it 12,890? Incoming mail. Hold on a second. 12,850. That's our level. Okay, that's our key level here. $12,850 level. So we have a key level here. So what is our expectation now? Now we are on a bullish. So if you had missed this move from this point, if you have missed this move from this point, I will be suggesting that you hold on. Let's see how price action is going to play out from this point. So remember, we have this resistant level of the ascending channel we identified on the higher time frame. I want to make this a little bit thicker so that we can see clearly. So we have the ascending channel on the higher time frame. So there is a likelihood that we should wait. There's a likelihood that price will come back and do a retest of that structure. And from a technical perspective, we all understand that whenever we have a breakout of structure, we want to see price come back to do a retest of that level. So one thing I want to be doing here is that I want to be advising, first of all, let's be patient. Don't let us be in a hurry. If you had missed this move from here, then it is time to be patient. Let's see how this participant in the market who took advantage of this move. We want to do a quick sell, and that quick sell could result in the form of a retracement into either the structures we have identified here. We have the first one here. There's the first one. There's the first. Sorry, I want to be systemic about this. So we have the first. So we have one here. We could wait for a retracement into either of these levels, and so we could be waiting for a retracement into either of this level. So now, how do we know which of this level we are going to take advantage of that bullish movement? So that's the next thing we'll be asking. So one thing I want to be expecting here is this. I want to be seeing a reversal pattern on either of this level. If I see a double bottom structure here, I want to join the rally to the upside. And if I see a double bottom here, I'm just using a double bottom as an example. It could be an inverse head and shoulder pattern. It could be a wedge, whatever it is. So we're looking for a reversal pattern on either of the structures to take advantage of a trend continuation to the upside. So this is what we are looking out for. And Now that we all understand that we're on a bullish momentum and we are waiting for price to come into the structure, are we just going to take a wait for all this move to happen? That is, this is over 1,000, this is over 3,000, and this is over 6,000 moves. So why not be thinking of a counter trend opportunity? Very, very good question. Why not think of a counter trend opportunity if price is moving? We're expecting price to come back and do a retest of the structure. Well, if we are going to be doing that, then we'd have to identify a key level around this consolidation phase area here. So, and the 13,200 area appears to be most appropriate for us to look out for. So let's give this a purple. Okay, 13,200. Let's label it 13,200 level. What happened here? 13,200 level. So we have 10,200 level here. So if we see a breakdown of this level, then a retest of structure should give us confirmation to join the decline. So that is that on the US tech. Then I want to scale down to the lower time frame. I want to see what is actually happening from this point. If we can take advantage of a bullish momentum here. And what I'm seeing here is that if we bring out our line chart here, we have a structure around this area. So we have a structure here. This is like a wedge, sorry, like a pennant rather, and we have a breakout of that structure here. We have a breakout of that structure here, which also shares a confluence with the key level we identified here at 13,200 level. You can see. So um, we could wait for price to come back into this 13,200 level where we'll be looking for reversal pattern to join the rally from here. But mind you, if we have a breakdown of that 13,200, which I shared with you on a higher time frame, then a retest of that level should give us confirmation that we are going down. And if we are going down, if you're a counter trend trader, you want to take advantage of that bearish move to the downside. And then if you're a long-term trader, you want to wait for price to come back into either of the structures for a reversal pattern to join the trend continuation to the upside. So this is the scenario I'm be looking at on the US tech if I were you. So I think these are the scenarios we could be having here. We have one, two, three, four, like four scenarios to be looking out for on the US tech. So I hope I made myself clear on this one. If you have any question whatsoever, feel free to drop a word or two in this one, and I will be willing to explain further on this one. So any questions? I think this is going to be the last one we're going to be taking for today. I'm already 4 minutes out of time. All right, let me do a recap of what we discussed so far today. The first pair we deliberated on was the US oil, and on the US oil, I told you. So we are here to see a breakout of structure. So on the US oil, we still keep we still we're still patient on this one. So we have two scenarios here. We're waiting for price to break out of that structure, do a retest of that level, and then we join the rally to the upside. So we are here to see a breakout of structure. So we are waiting and waiting for the candle to close right above that level, after which we are going to look out for price to come back so that we can join. And then the other scenario here is a breakdown of this level, that is breakdown of this previous low here. Want to see a breakdown of this previous low, then retest, then we can join the decline. So that's that on the US oil. Then we moved on to the UK oil as well, and on the UK oil too we have a similar scenario. and we are looking forward to a breakout of that channel to give us a confirmation to join whatever moment, whatever direction prices wants to move. So we either have a breakout retest of this level so that we can join a bullish potential with a take profit target around the 102, 103, 101 area. As we can see, this area has been a supply niche in the past. Participants have been selling around this area, so we want to see that area as our take profit targets. After whatever happens with that area will now determine if we are going to continue bullish or we are going to join a decline. Then if we have a breakdown of the structure, we wait for price to do a retest of this level to join the decline. Remember, I shared a caveat with you. If we are buying this pair, as soon as price gets into the $98.50 level, we want to move our stop loss to break even or lock in some profit. And if price moves into the $100 mark, move your stop loss, lock in some profit, and guide your position as price continues in the direction that we expected. And if price is moving to the downside here, I've advised you that as soon as price gets into the $95.50, please lock in your profit or move your stop loss to break even to protect your position. So then after this, we went on to talk about the, which one was that? I think the USDCHF. Yes, we went to talk about the USDCHF, where I told you I'm expecting a bearish momentum, and to make our job easier during the New York session, I was able to identify a key level for us at 0.96000, where I said a breakdown retest of that level should give us a confirmation to go bearish here, and our take profit target should be right on this bearish trend line. And that's when we calculated it, that was around $90 90 pips to catch here. And so let's see how price will relate with this level during the New York session. If price is going to break down this level, then we wait for confirmation in the form of a retest of that structure to join the decline. Or if price forms a reversal pattern here, then we want to buy the USDCHF back into the 0.96 level. So this is the scenario I'm looking for on the USDCHF. Then we went on to talk about the GBPUSD as well. Isaac, did we talk about GBPUSD? Yes, I told you about GBPUSD, and price is already moving. I told you I was in this trade. We saw price um, broke down of that bullish trend line, came back to do a retest, multiple rejection, boom. If you had been in that move, kudos to you. Let's see what happened on 15 minutes time frame. Did we have fine? We had a confirmation. We had multiple rejection of that level. We had multiple rejection of that level. Three candles on lower time frame rejected that level, and boom, we are already how many pips in profit now? That's over 90 pips in profit now. So kudos to you if you had caught that move on the GBP USD. Now then, we went on to talk about the XAUUSD. I guess was it the XAUUSD? Yes, the XAUUSD. So I told you I was able to identify a bullish trend line here. So I'm expecting, for those who had missed this move from here, currently we are now how many pips in profit? We are in over 1,400 pips in profit already, and our take profit target is around the 1,780 88 area. So one thing I said there for us to join this rally is that we should wait for price to come back and do a retest of this bullish trend line, after which we look out for reversal pattern to join the rally to the upside from here. So this is what we should be expecting on the XAUUSD. Then we went on to talk about the US tech as well. I think that was the last pair we deliberated on today, and I was able to identify a structure on a 15 minutes time frame. Though on a long term perspective, we're expecting price to come back to test either of the structure which I identified, I shared with you. We were able to identify three structures we're expecting price to come back to before we look for that bullish momentum. But we can't just be waiting for all that to happen. This is quite a long time, and so we were able to scale down to a 15 minutes time frame to look out for a short-term opportunity. And one thing we identified here was that we were able to identify a key level at 13,200, and I said we had a breakout of this bearish trend line during the course of the early hours of today. And sorry, let me show you what that is. We had a breakout of this bearish trend line during the early hours of today, and when we see a breakout of structure like that, from a technical perspective, we expect price to come back and do a retest of structure. So if price comes back to the 13,200 level, then we want to be looking for reversal patterns on lower time frame or probably on your 10, 5 minutes, 1 minute time frame to join the rally to the upside. Then I made mention of a big but here. That is, if price breaks below this 13,200 level, and then that's likely going to be a signal that price is probably moving in direction we proposed on the higher time frame. So we want to, if you're a counter trend trader, you want to take advantage of that move as soon as price does a retest of the 13,200 level with reversal patterns on lower time frame, then you could join the decline. And those levels we are looking for buying opportunity shall be our take profit target. So you could have your take profit targets as somewhere like your first take profit target here. Hold on a second, let me show you. First take profit target around here, second take profit target around this area, and your third take profit target around this area. Remember, these are the areas where we are looking for bullish potential on the US tech. So this is the scenario we want to be looking out for going forward. And I advise us to be on standby. I hope you've screenshotted my screen or munched my screen so that you can use it as a reference point where you are about making your individual decision during the New York session. So thank you very much for being around with me. I really appreciate every moment I had with you guys. And I'm sorry I couldn't take some pairs. I think we were not able to take Tesla. So I hope hopefully by tomorrow we should be able to do something on Tesla. Thank you very much for being around. I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you guys same time tomorrow, 11 a.m. West African time, 10 a.m. UTC, and same time, same place, Extra Speed Live. And if you have friends around, um, introduce the app to them. Tell them to download Extra Speed Live app on their phone so that they will not miss out on these regular live sessions we normally have here. So on this note, I want to wish you best of luck during the New York session. Bye bye.